So it's 2026, and the football we've all grown up to love and know is now a thing of the past thanks to big tech and AI companies coming into the game of football, seeing it as essentially a cash grab and bringing their big data to managers, selling them technologies that will, give them a little bit of a better edge on the field. So big data is really coming into play now, guys. So I think this is a time where football has peaked and plateaued. And I know that we all can remember the Ronaldinhos, the R9s, the Iniesta, Xavi, Ronaldo, Messi, all that stuff. I could go on for days about old players. But I think the reason that we look so back on those nostalgic players and we really sulk in those times is that AI and data has now made the game absolutely robotic and unbearable to watch. Now, I know that athletically, overall, the game of football has progressed and the game's a lot more athletic, a lot more fast. But with that being said, I think we have lost the true touch of creativity. We no longer have football geniuses that are able to think for themselves and take on players or try impossible things that coaches will let them do back in the day. And I think nowadays coaches like, Pep Guardiola is a prime example that everyone always kind of pins this on him. So I feel bad for blaming Pep, but the type of football that is being played now is just very, very chess-like. Even though the game of football is, so to speak, more like a chess game, you got to be methodical in your plays and the way you play. But now it's become so rigid in being a fundamentally well-oiled team that it's just boring. Too many back passes, side-to-side passes, not enough attacking chances that players are taking that they're scared to take because the coach will possibly reprehend them or bench them for going against the team play. And I think a lot of this not only comes down to the managers coaching this way, but it's coming down to big tech. So I want to show you guys an article that I found, and it's about... I found it on Reddit. So it's saying, is football becoming too much data driven? So I think this is a wonderful article right here, because this is what I kind of assumed the whole time, that these data companies are selling data of basically all the players and how much they play, how fast they go, their percentage of shots on goals, what they tend to do throughout the game, and selling this data to teams that way they can study other teams in hopes of getting just a little bit of an edge. But I think overall this kind of hurts the game and the actual creativity that football embodies. So it kind of loses its soul in a way. But yeah, let's look here. It says for a long time, companies like Opta, I don't know if you guys heard of Opta, but they collect data from teams and clubs to make decisions and predictions. It helps really good, but sometimes my thoughts go back to the game that were played about all these technologies. There was much more sensation, tension, and excitement. What's your opinion about this? And I couldn't agree more. There's a lot more tension, a lot more excitement in the games of the past, mid-2000s. The likes of Messi is probably like one of the last players. Messi, Mbappe, Neymar are some of the last players that played with true excitement and pure football joy, where they were able to express themselves on the field. And I feel like a lot of today's players, they're just well-oiled athletes. They're just athletes at the end of the day. They don't have that same type of gifted mind to think outside the box when it comes down to the wire in games. They don't have the ability to take people on or try an elastic or try this and that just to get around a player. They always think the safe route. So I think that has a negative impact on the fans that actually watch the game, and it's making it boring for us. But, I feel bad for these kids that are growing up in today's era, because all they're taught is data, and all these kids know are stats, I feel like. So when they start comparing best players all the time, they always bring up stats. And in my opinion, in football, a lot of things can't be measured with straight stats, So that's another thing I want to dig at. But yeah, some of the comments here, pretty good comments. Someone named What Michael said, is football being data-driven any better or worse than it being driven by spending power? In the age of financial disparity and FFP, the other 14 have to find ways to level the playing field, and if that means trying to moneyball their way to success or to exploit nuances and team weaknesses, they're smart to do that. Which, yeah, I guess you could say that you're being smart for trying to, find nuances in the other team's play by exploiting their weaknesses through data. but the other team's going to do that too. So I feel like it kind of cancels each other out, because they're selling, these data companies, they just want money. They're going to sell that information to the other team. We all know this, right? But at the expense of what? The expense of the fans, the expense of the game. Who knows what this game's going to look like in, say, 10, 20, even 5 years, given the fact that everything's progressing so exponentially fast nowadays. And you know, it's just crazy to think back, bro. When I was little and I was watching like R9, Ronaldinho, Cristiano Ronaldo, Messi, when he was just getting started off, I feel like they had the freedom to dance around the field and really express themselves. And that's what made people fall in love with the game. And sure, the games might not have been super high scoring, but the little plays within the games, the little one touches, the little flicks, no look passes, the combo plays between Xavi and Iniesta during the tiki-taka era was just, it's hard to find nowadays. It's really hard to find nowadays. Like, sure, there's a lot of players, but name 5 players that really play with that flair of you never know what they're going to do next, that magicianship. I don't think a lot of players really have that magic no more. Even though they are great, I think it's hard to really sit down and really put your finger on a few players that play like that. Sure, there's Mbappe still, but I think he's more of an athlete than a natural magician. But you know, at the end of the day, it's soccer, and when the ball hits the back of the net, that's all that matters. So who am I really? But guys, you know, I think that this goes on to like a more global issue that, you know, tech is spending big they want to buy up everything. They want to buy up the soul of everything. So I think that football is one of the last things to not be touched by big tech, but slowly but surely it's creeping in, and they're just completely saturating the game that we love with data that's really muddying the waters and really watering down the flow of the game. So I'm interested to see where this goes, but you know, this is something I want to say to like younger players. Like, don't be afraid to try new things. Don't be afraid to try tricks. Don't be afraid to play with flair and joy. First and foremost, you got to enjoy playing. Get me? So when you step on that field, you gotta really immerse yourself in the game and really think outside the box, because that's what's really going to decide games at the end of the day, is someone who steps up to the plate and does something that people don't expect them to do. That's what could set you apart. And if you're just another athlete at the end of the day and everyone's just as good athletically, the guy who has that extra edge is going to be the guy who is a genius in the head on the football pitch, who tries the unexpected, who tries some magic. He's going to be the one that decides games nowadays, just because I think everything is kind of evened off. It's the same thing with like AI stuff. So we all know that AI art is taking over and all that stuff, but now people are craving that human touch. People want human-made art. People want human-made music more than ever. So I think the same thing goes for football. There's going to, perhaps, I hope that this happens. There's going to be a resurgence of players that play with that magic, and I would love to see it. And I think the game is really missing people like this. So I think now's the time. If you're a young player, step up. Don't be afraid to try things. Think outside the box. Don't let people get you down. And, you know, always train hard. But at the end of the day, this goes back to football is kind of plateauing, and I think that big tech is having a lot to do with this. So yeah, guys, let me know if you think otherwise, or comment. Let me know what you guys think, and we can make more videos about this. So give me a like and a follow. This is one of my first videos, Kickball LA. I appreciate you guys. We're out.